sorry. Um, just for the sake of honoring our time, we're going to skip over our table time. Can you hear me? I think you. Hey, there we go. For the sake of just time and honoring Pastor Ed and Stephanie being here, we're going to skip over our table time. But this past week we were on chapters 9 through 12 for your homework. This next week will just be 13 through 16. We'll put it in the portal. Just make sure you know that. So we're going to keep on with our spiritual leadership book. But it is a blessing for Pastor Ed and Stephanie to be with us tonight. I don't know if you all can appreciate the amount of people that vie for their time. And I tell people this all the time. Pastor Ed has two primary jobs. One, he is a pastor of a very large church, but he's also a CEO. This CBC is a large organization, over 200 employees, 5 campuses, so many different ministries, and that's more than just a 9 to 5 job. This is something that he leads spiritually from the stage, but he also leads spiritually off the stage. So it's an unbelievable task. Not only that, he's a faithful husband, father, and he would tell you that none of it would be possible without the brains and the heart of the outfit, was what he would say would be Stephanie. So to be able to find a time where we can get both of them is a treat. So we want to go ahead and give them the time, and I believe, Pastor Ed, that clock we have back there is a couple minutes fast, but it landed about 6:50. If you want to have Q&A time, we can run mics around. We can do that for you. But let's give an honor where honor is due for Pastor Ed and Stephanie being here with us tonight.
Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm happy to get up on stage. Yep, thank you. All right. Hey, thank you so much for allowing us to be here. And we were scheduled, I think, a couple weeks ago, and some stuff shifted. So, but the storm, that's what it was. But good to see you. Thank you so much. Man, has MTI been good to you? I mean, this, just so you know that you are the first of, we believe, of many to walk through. And really what God is doing in and through you. I was in a conversation with a pastor who was asking the question about how this was going. And I said, man, it's hard to put into words, because I think for all of us, I wish I would have gotten what you're getting. And what you're getting, I mean, I've been in ministry since 1999. And what you're getting, I just got like 5 years ago. So that's a lot of, I wish I'd have got what you got a long time ago, because I think, honestly, I think ministry would have looked a lot different from me. But I do think the one thing that we're here to talk about is communication code. And one of the things that we want to do real quickly is kind of set the context, because if there's anything I wish I'd have learned a long time ago, was what we're going to share with you today. And Steve Cockram, for those of you that were here at Pastor's Day, Steve Cockram lives in London, and he, through Jeremy Kubicek, wrote some great leadership tools that, honestly, we have used a part of our leadership pipeline here. And we wanted to make sure you get it, because I think this is going to be very practical. And we're going to talk about this from a marriage standpoint, that we've been married 27 years and going on 28. And I think that's a big deal. Come on, that's a big deal, all right?
They said it wouldn't last.
Yes. And how many years would you say ago that we learned communication code? It was about 5 years ago.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, so I just doing some simple math, just a little over 22 years, I really feel like our communication code was off. And I have a degree in communication. Like my doctorate degree is in communication. Like I have a doctorate of ministry in communication, and did not know this tool. And I was like, I got a doctorate degree in communication and didn't understand communication. And that's crazy. I communicate for a living. But one of the things that's really interesting is when we think about communication, for Stephanie and I, You have to recognize something because you're going to start to see some building blocks on what you've learned. When you start looking at your five voices, do you know what I'm talking about when I say five voices? When you understand your personality, that's one dimension of who you are. But when you actually listen to people talk, you're listening to people through not just your personality, but you're also listening to people through your pain. Are you with me? So you're also listening to people when they talk through several different layers of filters of things that you might be wrestling with, not just in the pain of what you've been through, but sometimes your own personal journey of discovery of who you are, which means that people could say certain things, but you have a natural tendency to translate it and you receive it differently. That's why we're so easily offended sometimes, is because we think that sometimes people are talking right to you about something, but they're not really talking to you, but you hear it that way because if we could just be honest, it's our insecurities, mine included. I'm not saying that about you. I'm saying that about me. My insecurities rise up. And then those moments where you feel disrespected or whatever it may be that, we all have our triggers. Whatever that is for you, can we just use this term, when that button gets pushed from somebody, tell me you don't shut down. Tell me you don't all of a sudden be like, I'm going to fight you, or what, so you ought to, and then, but here's the truth of it. You stop listening. So when we talk about communication, I think it's really, really important that we define communication. And I want to take a moment to define communication. But before we do, Stephanie, you want to say anything just to kind of set the context for what we're talking about? I'm sorry, I brought my Topo Chico.
I brought mine up too.
Oh, yeah, man, that's how we know where to get. This is probably our great personality profile right here, is that, yeah, this is me and Stephanie right here. I got a little neck and a little head. That's what I got, right? So,
and a lot taller than I am.
Yeah, a lot taller. But anything you want to say?
First of all, hello.
Yeah, come on.
This is my first time being at MTI, and let me tell you, I hear lots of great things about y'all.
Yeah, bragging.
I mean, lots of great things about y'all. So I just need you to know that y'all are crushing it.
Yeah, come on.
I mean, crushing it. And I'm so grateful to see so many of y'all. I'm like, oh, I know y'all. Some of you are new faces, but I'm just so proud of y'all. The fact you're here, it's a Monday, right?
It's Monday.
It's like, wait, it's still Monday?
I know, it's Monday.
Yeah. Monday night, you're sitting here wanting to lean in and to learn and dig. And I know y'all got lots going on. But I'm proud of you, and I'm grateful for you. So thank you for being committed. And it's an honor to be with you today. The communication code has been huge for us in our marriage, but it's something that wasn't designed for marriage. It was designed for just people in general. If you communicate with somebody, this is for you. So it works very well in a marriage. It also works very well in your work relationships, people you might work very closely with, and even people that you don't, but you're listening to still. It will help you receive, like he was saying, information and communication more clearly, to where you're not using certain filters to hear, but you can actually hear what's being communicated. Sometimes even be able to go look beyond or hear beyond maybe the tone that it's being said in. Maybe to learn something, go, okay, I see what's going on. Note to self, let's not communicate that way. It works really well with your children. It works in all kinds of ways. So this isn't just like a grown-up version and just for, spouses or just for people you work with. It literally works with everybody, especially those people that are a little bit more difficult to connect with. It's very helpful because you can, what we'll talk about in just a minute, be able to telegraph what kind of conversation you need in that moment, so that you actually are able to receive what you need in that moment, and they're able to communicate and receive what they need in that moment as well. So it's been huge. It's helped us, one, with the 5 voices and the communication code are probably the 2 biggest things that we've gleaned from in all of this, because it helps us, one, understand each other, and helps us to be the best version that we are for each other as well. So
can I ask you this question, just so everybody knows our voice order?
Yeah.
I'm a connector. I'm a creative pioneer. That's my right hand. All right. Anybody else besides? Okay. So these are my people right here. Okay. Tell everybody. So my left hand, just to put in context, voice 4 and 5. Voice 4 would be guardian. Voice 5 is nurture, which is really interesting because I can actually be charged by hanging out with people, but if too far, as nurture being number like 5 for me, people can drain me. Okay, so but at the same time, the connector finds great joy in being with people to connect other people. So what that means is love learning and connecting, and then all of a sudden in my mind I'm like, man, you need to know so and so, and then I'm like, hey, let me connect you with this. And my favorite thing is to connect people and step out of the conversation, and then connect more people, step out of the conversation. That is me. Stephanie, now watch this. So guardian's my 4th voice, and
I'm guardian, pioneer, nurturer, connector, creative.
so you can see how we by definition are completely opposite. My nemesis voice, are you with me on the nemesis voice? Let me just, for some of you don't know what I'm talking about, the nemesis voice for me are guardians. Guardians, by definition, have a tendency, when not healthy, to ask a lot of questions because everything is about process and systems. And once more, guardian is not a negative trait. Guardian's a beautiful trait of just making sure that things are done properly, that they are able to be sustainable and to actually be multiplied. And so it's a beautiful trait. And actually what I found out to be true is Pastor Matt, who obviously was just talking, his first voice is guardian. So our executive team, excuse me, as I begin to learn my voice order, I actually begin to recognize the people that I have to have around me in the closest dimensions to me are people that are actually opposite of me. Are you with me? So you look at Tiffany Brown, and she's a pioneer, which she's 2% of females. And then you have Lloyd Blank, pioneer. And then you have Phil Vega, who's creative. But then you also have Hutch Kufal, who's a connector. So some similarities there, but with Matt Mason specifically, he's always going to ask the question of what's the best way to accomplish this? Because if you're not careful, what you'll do is you'll surround yourself with people just like you. And guess what happens? It's the very reason why Jesus did not start the church with all. And I know the word apostle means that they were by definition the 12 disciples who helped begin the early church. And they were trailblazing a new work. So yes, Jesus starts with 12 disciples. But when you look at the spiritual giftings in Ephesians chapter 4, it's apostle, pastor, evangelist, shepherd, teacher. That's called apest, right? If you've never heard that before, apostle, pastor, evangelist, shepherd, teacher. You see that in Ephesians 4:11. Why is that important? Because Jesus doesn't start the church with all apostles. Because apostles who trailblaze and want to start a new work, guess what happens? They leave behind a lot of people. We're going to do this. We're going to blaze this new trail. But you need shepherds. You need pastors. You need evangelists. You need teachers. And so by definition, and not that you can completely overlap the 5 voices with APEST, but one of the giftings on Stephanie's life, and I just want to speak worth and value over the calling of God on your life as a teacher. And I think for those of you that know her, you see that. Like you see teacher. But teachers, if you line that up with guardian, truth matters. But it's not just speak truth. It's the truth of why we're doing what we're doing and how we go where we're going. Are you with me? It's not just like, well, don't lie to me. Nobody likes to be lied to. But truth speakers, as guardians, value the integrity of the organization to make sure that people understand the why, the what, the who, etc. So, but watch this. What you're going to see today in this conversation is that Stephanie specifically, as a primary voice guardian, and I'm a connector, we're gonna get to this, and you're gonna realize that we had some marital strife going on that was unbeknownst to us, that was just frustrating to me and frustrating to her because we thought we were communicating, okay? We thought we were communicating, but we weren't communicating. But the 5 voices are going to help. Really, for those of you that are in relationships right now or soon to be relationships, this is going to be a game changer for you. This is going to help you at any level of leadership. You'll be able, and we'll use this word later, telegraph the intentionality of the conversation. Our marriage, almost 28 years, we've had a lot of arguments along the way. But I think we would say this out loud, and you correct me if I'm wrong. Most of our arguments were not over big issues. Most of our arguments were misunderstandings. They were little things that became big things.
Correct.
Is that fair?
Miscommunication or misunderstanding.
So that's why, and I want to walk through a couple things. So if you got something to write with, I want you to, first we got to begin with Scripture. Proverbs 18, verse 21. Many of you know this. Proverbs 18:21 says, "Death and life are in the power of the tongue, and those who love it will eat of its fruit." Okay? So death and life are in the power of the tongue. Can I say it this way? We either take life or we give life. Our words give life or take life. And when we think about what a great understanding of communication is about, this is Bernard Shaw, and actually I was speaking to this just a few moments ago. The single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it's actually taken place. The single greatest or single biggest problem in communication is the illusion that it has taken place. George Bernard Shaw. And that's me. Here I am as a connector. I think I'm being really clear in my communication. My wife will go, "You thought you said that. You didn't say that. And then you got frustrated because it didn't go the way you thought it was going to go." And here's the reason why. Because you actually thought you said something and you didn't say it. But then, and I'm going to give you a little sneak peek here, then Stephanie and I get in an argument, and I'm like, she's correcting me on what I didn't say or should have said. And my immediate, once more, you listen through your pain. You listen through your insecurities. You listen through all that you bring into how you present yourself today. My insecurity was, my whole life, up to I really had a why not you Holy Spirit experience, is that I'm dumb. True story, I'm just being confessional. I'm dumb. I mean, y'all, listen, that was like 4 years ago for me, okay? I'm slow. I don't process well. So when I get corrected like this, true story, she's magna cum laude. She's a geneticist. She's brilliant. She's asking me questions, and I don't have answers. Y'all know this. She's not calling me dumb. But when she's asking me questions, I felt dumb. You with me? And then I get offended. I shut down. And then we go a day without talking. That's real talk, y'all. Anybody else relate with that? Okay, you understand what I'm saying?
How many guardians? How many guardians in the room?
Yeah, come on.
Okay, so we've got the 3 or 4, almost equal female and male. Okay,
Yeah.
that's good. So y'all know what that means. You're locked and loaded with 20 questions at all times.
Yeah.
When you hear something new, especially, you're like, oh, just take a breath and let me dive in. And it's not because you're like, oh, I don't think this is going to work. You're going to like, no, I need to figure out how we're going to make this work. Like you've already got, oh, well, this is going to be an issue, but I think we can, you know what it's like. You just start coming down with it. But that became a roadblock for our communication because as soon as I started in on my questions, he just assumed I was shooting it down or that I thought it was a bad idea, even though I'm just like, okay, let me logistically, how are we going to make that work? I'm trying to keep him out of the ditch. Basically, we're going to do this. It's not going to be easy, but let's try to get some guardrails in there so that we can get from here to there, like in a straight line and not like this, which that's typically how we do it. If we're like, don't ask any questions, I'm following you. I'm like, why are we going that way? We're supposed to be going over there. He goes, just trust me, babe. Just trust me. And I'm like, but I have a question. He's like, no questions. No questions. And that's where the attention is like, but I think I can get us from here to here.
Mm-hmm.
So that's it for those guardians that you're like, those questions are key because it helps you get in your head where we need to go so that you can plan the steps out to get there instead of just, oh, we'll figure it out along the way, which is more along the lines of how his brain typically works. It's like, oh, we don't need to worry about that today. We'll worry about that later.
Because if you really look at the five voices, and we're going to keep going back to this, for those of you that are connectors, pioneers, and creatives, okay, in whatever order, your future. Y'all tracking with what I'm saying? Come on, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page here. I don't want to assume that we're connecting right now. You with me? If you're a pioneer, creative, or a connector, you are always in tomorrow. You're always in tomorrow. If you're a guardian, nurture, any of those two orders as a primary voice, it's today. I'm in tomorrow, she's in today. I'm led by feelings, she's led by fact. You with me? That's how that works. And some of you are looking at each other like that, or like in relationships, or your friends where you're like, yeah, that's the truth. So and when we're opposite like that, then you have to have something that creates a communication code. Or else there's misunderstandings. And here's a definition, or not a definition, but a quote. And man, I said this like 10 years ago. Many people talk, but few truly communicate. Okay, few people talk, or excuse me, many people talk, few communicate. Many people talk, few communicate. What do I mean by that? Well, in my doctoral program, communication, by definition, has always been talking and listening. Okay, but I want to paint a picture for us. And this is an old school form of communication called smoke signals. Okay, anybody know what I'm talking about? All right, so I won't draw this on the board, but if I were to be on one mountain and you were on the other mountain, and we could not use spoken form of communication, and I was using smoke signals, and I was on another mountain, and you couldn't see me and I couldn't see you, and I was actually controlling puffs of smoke, and they were in a rhythm or a cadence. 3 clouds, 2 clouds, 5 clouds. You'd be like, there's a pattern there. He's communicating. But because you can't receive it, you see it, but you don't know what 3 clouds mean, 4 clouds mean, 5 clouds mean, 6. You have no way to decode it. I think that it's an old school analogy, but that's how many people communicate. A lot of talking, not understanding. And we think we understand. But once more, there's so many things that are blocking full understanding because we're listening through our pain, we're listening through our personalities, or maybe we actually are distracted by what's going on around us, maybe something that's taking place, or whatever the feeling or the vibe that you just got in that moment. There's so many variables that prevent us from understanding. But Stephanie, I want to talk about this for a moment as we break down the communication code, and I want to start with these 5 C's, all right? And so are we able to put this on the screen, Cairo? Is that okay? Thank you so much. And as we work through this, this by definition, just to put it into context, do you see the satellite dishes? Sending, receiving, transmitting, receiving. If there was just one transmitter, that's talking. If you have a receiver and you understand it, that's communication. Sending, receiving, sending, receiving. Can I ask you a question? Social media, is that communication or is that just talking? It's just talking. A lot of people talking. You know what I've noticed about our culture? People love to talk. People love to talk. Few people listen. But communication is sending and receiving. Now we're going to go through the 5 C's. Stephanie, let's start with critique. Why don't you handle that one?
So with the transmitting and the receiving, we have to remember that the goal of communication is connecting with whoever you're talking to. And even if it's that person that's the difficult person, maybe somebody who's upset, you're counseling somebody, you're at church or you're at work or there's a situation, you want to be able to connect with them. Doesn't necessarily mean that you agree, doesn't mean that you're on the same page about everything, but being able to transmit and receive, to be able to understand somebody and to be understood. And critique, if you look on the description of it, when we communicate with somebody and we need to have a conversation that is a critique conversation. You're telling them, critique my work. So if you're in a workplace situation or even in a relationship, critique what I'm doing, what I'm saying, whatever I'm working on. And in that same square, you'll see it says, ask the difficult questions. Tell me why it won't work. So if I come to Ed, I said, hey, can we have a critique conversation? Here's a message that I'm working on, or here's a project that I'm working on, and I show it to him. What I'm asking him to do is to critique it, but I'm not asking him to criticize it. There's a huge difference between the two. Critiquing is something that builds up. If somebody is critiquing it, they're going to look at it and go say, oh, I see there's a pitfall here. This is not really clear. Maybe you should use a different word. Or, no, this story's great, but that one's kind of confusing or doesn't make sense. So I'm asking him to help me see the pitfalls in it, but he's also going to give me the building blocks to make it better. Whereas criticism is tearing it down. There's nothing positive, nothing to use there. It's literally just chipping away at the foundation, and it's going to crumble in the end of it. There's a huge difference between critique and to criticize, because the ultimate goal with critiquing is that you want growth to come from it, not guilt.
Well, here's a question for you. Have you ever shared an idea with somebody and you were wanting them to celebrate the idea like it was awesome, and they started critiquing it? How did you feel? Anybody? You felt pain? Or anybody? Yeah, you gave a thumbs down. Yeah, for sure. Come on, Hunter. Anybody else? Yeah. Discouraged? Yeah. Yeah, all right. So, Timothy, this is it. So, Tim, when we talk about, and then all of a sudden you feel discouraged, and then you go, well, I won't bring that up again. Now, let's not talk about marriage relationships. Let's talk about being on a team. Let's talk about being on a church staff. Let's talk about your primary, how many of you are primary creatives? Okay, creatives. All right, so you all of a sudden have this idea, and then you bring this up in a meeting. And immediately, as soon as you bring it up, well, how are we going to make that happen? Well, we don't have any money for that. What happens? Timothy said it. You'll be a little bit more guarded the next time you have a conversation. Now, flip the scene. And you're all leaders. Come on, we're training you to be leaders, not followers. Leaders. And you're leading a team. And I'm going to show you something in just a minute. But you're leading a team. And all of a sudden a creative speaks up. Hannah, you speak up. And then a guardian or a nurturer starts typically going, well, or sometimes pioneers or a creative, a connector, starts just punching holes in it. You as a leader have to recognize and go, hey, real quick, let's have a moment where it's okay to share ideas and just to populate. This is the, so you start coaching and lining versus letting people tear this down. But you have to know. That's why it's important, 5 voices. This is why it's a part of when you lead a team. You end up working at CBC or wherever you end up working at ministry, and 5 voices is something you implement into your team. It's important that you understand that creatives in meetings always have to speak first. You know why? Because a pioneer, anybody pioneers? All right, a very unhealthy version of you is that, and you're healthy. But if you're unhealthy, if you weren't healthy, your idea is the best idea in the room. And because your volume level, and we went through this, and if you paid attention to and it's not on this screen, but when you look at when we went 5 voices, and did anybody remember the volume? Pioneers are the loudest. Guess who's the softest? Nurturers. So when you're a leader, it's important that you understand communication code, because, for example, if you're leading a meeting and it's an ideation session and everybody gets to play, you got to protect. Like, hey, this is a conversation we're going to critique. Here's the plan. Let's critique it. Let's make it better. Can I tell you what happens? Everybody in the room goes, that's the assignment. The assignment is, let's make it better. It doesn't mean that people still don't get their feelings hurt. It just means that that's the goal, and it just kind of diffuses it. But unsolicited critique, man, it can hurt. It can hurt. Let's talk about collaboration. It's real simple. We'll walk through this, and then we're going to give a practical illustration. We got about 15 more minutes, Stephanie. And so, but as we talk about collaborate, stop, collaborate, and listen. Yep, thank you. It means, can we work together? All right, so shape this with me. Build on it together. Help me get the best outcome. It means that I've been working on this, and I'm inviting you to bring something I could be missing. Ed, what's the difference between critiquing and collaborating? Critiquing is, I'm going to give you full permission to just punch holes in it. Collaborate is, I don't know if I can get this thing across the finish line. I don't know. I mean, I've exhausted everything, and this is the best I got. Let's build on top of this. Does that make sense? So collaborate is, help me get the best outcome. Once you go, let's move through these quickly, and then we'll illustrate this in a personal dialogue.
You want to go clarify?
Yeah, go clarify.
Yeah, so clarify the third one. It says, check that you understand is kind of the quotation there. It says, have patience as I explain. Confirm what you've heard. So the bottom line for this is, understand what's being said to you before they understand you. So understand before being understood, if that makes sense. So it's not necessarily about you. It's more about getting clarity about what they're saying. So if you have a conversation with somebody and you go, okay, I think I'm tracking. What I'm hearing you say is this, and you get the little synopsis, that's not necessarily what your opinion is or what you think about it, but you're clarifying with them what they're trying to communicate to you. And you may hit it on the head. They're like, no, that's not what I meant at all. Now they know there's nothing wrong, but I need to explain it a little bit differently. Those of you that have kids, you've probably seen this before. You're talking to them and you just think you're the clearest you could possibly be, and then they go you tell them to do A, B, C, and they do X, Y, and Z, and you're like, what are you doing? You're like, that's what you told me to do. I'm like, no, it wasn't. Well, if we would have taken the time to clarify, hey, tell me what you heard. And when they do, you're like, oh, that is not what I meant. Let me say it this way. Y'all tracking with that?
Yeah.
That's what the clarify is.
But did you catch that? That was gold. I'm telling you, she said it so fast you didn't catch it. Tell me what you heard. Let me tell you why. Clarity is kindness. Adrian, how many times have you heard me say this? Clarity is kindness. It's unkind to be a leader that's not clear. It's unkind.
That's a good word.
You know why? You're making people guess what you're expecting from them. Some people are like, I don't appreciate your directness. Can I tell you what happens when people are not clear in leadership? Money gets wasted. Time gets wasted. Can I tell you what's more costly than money and time? People get hurt. People get hurt. So, you know what I found out to be true? It's way easier. Hannah, you've been on this team a while. You know. It's way easier to tell everybody on the front end what's the expectation. Versus, Ellie, you with me, right? Versus, we got off track. This is what we were trying to accomplish, and now you're having to course correct it. Then everybody in that moment is like, oh no, we're in trouble. While everybody's in a good mood, let's just go, hey, here's the goal. Let's be real clear. It's not, watch this, she said it. It's not, anybody got any questions? Because people are intimidated to ask questions because they think there's a stupid question. Here's a different way to say this. Hey, somebody tell me what you heard me say. Tell me what you heard me say. That's not a parenting just hack. That's like a leadership hack. Tell me what you heard me say. Tell me when you heard this was due. Tell me what the when is. That's what it means to clarify. Care conversation? Yeah, I'd love for you to do care because it celebrates my word. All right, so... Yeah.
It's his favorite.
It's my favorite word.
Create a safe space under care. Ladies were typically the ones that need the more care conversations, but you'd be surprised how much your husband or the other men in your office actually need it too. They just struggle more to say it than we do. But bottom line is, don't try to solve me, because I'm not the problem. That person's not the problem. They don't need solving or fixing, but they do need being listened to at that time. Be present and listen to me. So listening is the bottom line for this. If somebody comes and said, hey, I need a care conversation, that's an automatic, okay, that's let me zip my lips and open my ears and just wait till they're finished. And as a guardian, that's the hardest thing in the whole wide world, to wait till they're done. Because we will have a care conversation, and I'm like, okay, go. And he gets about 3 sentences in, and I'm like, but I have 4 questions already. And he's like, I'm not done. I'm like, okay, just start it with 4. And then now I got 18 questions. I'm like, are you almost done? I can't keep him in. I got to know. But in those care conversations, it's still listening. It's being present. And even with, I keep going back to our kids because that's like, I have more of them than I have a husband. So there's lots of examples with them. But having all young adults, this is where this comes in super handy because, they've got the world figured out at 21, 20, So when they call me and they're all flustered and they're just da-da-da-da-da-da, and I have to ask myself, did I hear a question and all of that? And I never do. And so that means that I can't ask I can, but the conversation's not going to go good if I do. So at the end, I'm like, okay, are you calling to me because you want to know what I think, or you want my advice or what I would do, or are you just calling just to have somebody just to talk to just to be a sounding board to? And they're like, no, I was just calling just to let you know what was going on. I was like, I'm on the other phone going, no, I have a solution for you though. But that's not why they called me. And then I'm like, okay, well, now I know how to pray for you. Love you. Bye. And I'm like, oh, God, they need you so bad right now. So, but that's what that is. Mm-hmm. That is a listen. And if whoever it is you're talking to wants your advice, they'll ask it, because unsolicited advice, if you go back, is just criticism. And that's what we have to be careful. On a care, it's be present. Give them the time. Give them your ears. Mm-hmm. If they want to know what you think, they'll typically ask. Or you can ask just to clarify. Of course, this is a are you asking me what I think? And probably they're not, but you can at least ask.
Mm-hmm. And then lastly, celebrate. Celebrate success with me. Enjoy the moment. Recognize what's being achieved. Now, what this means is typically something pretty significant and awesome just happened to you. But oftentimes, people don't know how to celebrate because you didn't really tell them that this was a moment you're asking them to celebrate with you. Here's the danger. We think intuitively with just a little bit of social IQ, most people would recognize, like, man, that's a big deal to you. It should be a big deal. Like, somebody should go, dude, that's awesome. Like that. But most people don't do that. And then we get upset. And I'm going to give you a real example. We were in a board meeting and here at CBC. And the way our government structure works here at the church is I'm chairman of the board, and then we have church members, male and female, who are board members, and so they give guidance. It's board guidance. And it was just like, honestly, we were under budget. There was just all these great things. And at the end of the board meeting, a guy named Craig Spalding, who's on our board, said, hey, Ed, I just noticed that you seemed a little down. And I said, it's crazy that you said that. I said, I was a little discouraged coming out of the meeting. He goes, I thought the meeting was really good. He goes, what do you mean you're discouraged? I said, well, there was just a lot of great wins that we've had. And I just felt like the board wasn't really excited about what I was excited about. He goes, next time, just say this. He goes, hey, I just need us to be able to celebrate together something significant. Would you guys be willing to celebrate with me? He goes, I'm sorry that I didn't have the social IQ to recognize, like, if this is a big deal to you, we should be celebrating that. He goes, sometimes in the formality of a business meeting, we're just kind of working through the talking points. Business meetings kind of feel emotionless. But I could tell Ed, like, you don't want to just go through spreadsheets and look at financial reports, though that's what we do. You want to always build in moments to celebrate. You know what? And I'll never forget that. So now, how many of you, I'm showing you my playbook right here. How many of you have heard me in a service go, Come on, I need somebody to celebrate with. Have you heard me say that? Now you know. It's communication code. Come on, church, I need somebody to celebrate with. You know what I'm doing? I'm giving permission for people to be excited about what I'm excited about. You're just inviting them in. All right, so we got 5 minutes to walk through this, okay? Now, one of the things that you're hearing through all of this is the 5 primary ways to communicate, which is critique, collaborate, clarify, care, and celebrate. Once more, these are not all the methods of communication. This is not exhaustive. This is not comprehensive. These are just 5 easily rememberable words that you could use in a telegraphing moment. And we preached this together one particular time. And we had a basketball, and you remember this. And so, I'm telegraphing, for those of you that play basketball, there's no-look passes where you could just throw a no-look pass. But there's also what's called a telegraph pass where you're like, I'm looking you in the eyes. And I'm about to pass. And before I pass, I'm going to say something. This conversation is a critique conversation. Pass. And when the ball lands in their hands, they know what kind of conversation this is going to be. So I'm going to give you an example. There was a moment where, Stephanie, you jumped up on the counter and you sat down and you said, hey, this is a care conversation. You want to talk about that?
Yeah, that's been a minute ago. I'd forgotten about that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was one of those, because we are very familiar with these words. When I say, and I don't have a whole lot of care conversations, so that's another, like, ooh, I need to pay attention on this. Put the phone down, turn the TV off, go in a room where we're not going to be interrupted. And when I say I need a care conversation, I jumped up on the counter so we could be eyeball to eyeball.
Yeah.
He was standing, so I'm like, let me get him. I didn't stand on the counter. I'm not that short. I sat on the counter. And it was one of those, I just needed him to hear what was going on. That's kind of tough for me anyway to do on a good day. But if it gets to that point, like I need you to hear where I am. It's usually one of those that's not easy to share. So I need your full focus. And because he knows what that means, it's the full attention. If there's a tear involved, he knows, okay, that's next level, because that doesn't happen. So all of these things, you begin to understand how serious a situation is in the moment. And it might be something serious, it may just something that's very important in the moment at that time. But yeah, so I said, hey, can we have a care conversation? And that was telegraphing what I needed him to do. Because in some of these other ones, it's that quick pass of like, okay, let me take it and run with it. Other times it's like, okay, I got the ball, now I'm going to set it down and I'm going to engage, however way it's supposed to be telegraphed.
Well, but here's the deal. If she says this is a care conversation, you can't respond with a collaboration conversation.
Yeah. Can't change it
You can't change
mid-conversation.
And it's definitely, dear God, it's definitely not a critique conversation. Well,
that's true.
You see what I'm saying? This isn't like, well, you know what? If you would have done this and this and this, you wouldn't be so emotional right now. Or I can fix this. Let's work together on this one.
Or not that again.
Yeah. Or
didn't you learn last time?
You see what I'm saying?
Like, that's not very caring, just in case you're wondering. It's not very caring.
But
and you're going to end up doing what you said earlier. I'm not going to go to him again with a conversation with the cares, or it's going to be a really long time before I do.
Well, and I think for me, because I do, like, my favorite word is celebrate. I love celebrate. And there's a lot of moments where I've wanted to celebrate, and I've had to now say this. And your biggest question, we got 1 minute left. Your biggest question is going to be, that just feels really forced. That just feels like really awkward. That feels like wow, kind of robotic. Like, this is a care conversation. It doesn't have to be that way. It's not like robotic. It's like straight up, just go, man, today was an incredible day. Like, man, I just need you to celebrate with me. That doesn't feel weird. It doesn't feel like, man, it's been kind of, I'm struggling. I need a care conversation. That doesn't feel weird. Or I got this incredible idea, at least to me, but am I missing something? Speak into it, critique it. That doesn't feel weird. It just lets everybody know how to engage in the conversation. Why does this matter? It matters in your relationships, primarily husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, fiance, but it matters with your kids. I'm telling you, it matters with your kids. Because your kids, their prefrontal cortex is not fully developed. And you know the thing that kids are really well known for? Being sarcastic. But do you know that they can't process sarcasm? Like they can't process it. Because that's where like the social IQs, it's like they misunderstand each other a lot. And it's even more complicated because now we don't even really talk to people. We just text the people and hit them up with emojis. So we don't really even know how to talk to people anymore. The lost art of communication is only going to continue to be the lost art. It's not going to get easier. We have generations of people that don't even know how to talk to people. They don't even know how to engage in conversations. So in order for us to model this, we definitely have to model it with our kids and equip them with language, especially as a parent. Let me just be honest. It's really difficult to understand our kids. So if you equip your children with this, I think sometimes there's moments they need us just to care, and we're trying to fix them. You're like, man, I don't know if I want to give this to my 15-year-old. Just try it. Can I ask you a question? What else would it hurt? Like, I mean, honestly, I think it would make a big difference if we could just give these kind of tools to help. But it's not just relationships. It's not just with your kids. It's how to lead a team. It's how do you lead a team? Because here's the truth of the matter. And this is why it's so important that the 5 voices be integrated in everything that we do. Do you remember we started with 5 voices? Listen to me. You didn't graduate past 5 voices. We stay on 5 voices. It is weaved through everything we do. Because why? Why does it matter? It's because you're leading people. Listen, ministry is about people. Yes, there's process. Yes, there's systems. Yes, there's all of that. But it's people. And people require an understanding of who are you talking to? Like, how do they hear? Especially if you don't know them. So let me break this down, all right, real quick. I've gone over 2 minutes. We're good? Okay. But the truth of it is when I'm leading a difficult conversation, when I'm having a very difficult conversation with a staff member, or it's Matthew 18 and it's in a personal conversation, lead with this. Lead with the conversation. It's just like Aaron, if it's just you and me, and something, say you're on a team, and man, there's been some performance issues, some stuff that's been brought to my attention. Hey, Aaron, we call it like the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. We're not trying to do the peanut butter and jelly. Like, Aaron, you're so awesome. You know, all of that stuff. And then it's like all of a sudden, here comes the jelly. You know, like, man, we're about to smear you with some stuff. And then like, but you're so awesome. No, it's just like from the jump. Aaron, hey, listen, man, thank you for making time today. Today's conversation is going to be a critique conversation. You with me? Clarity is kindness. I'm not trying to rope a dope, Aaron. I'm not trying to like butter him up a little bit because the heart's coming. You know what I'm saying? I just heard about this yesterday. A guy tells me, and he works at another church staff, he's like, hey man, my leader talked to me for an hour and a half about just cool stuff, and then all of a sudden in the last 30 minutes, dropped the bomb on me, tell me I wasn't doing well. What do I do with that? Anybody else? You know what I'm talking about? So no, listen, hey man, Aaron, listen, man, this has been brought to my attention. Okay, let me go to a different one. There's been some stuff brought to my attention. Hey Aaron, I got to ask a clarifying question. So this is the details I've been given. Am I missing something here? See what I'm saying? What am I missing? And then Aaron gets to speak into it. Versus, man, there's some stuff missing. Aaron, fill in the gaps. Clarifying conversation. Or it could be a moment of, hey Aaron, man, listen, this is a celebrate conversation. Man, I just need you to know, dude, I think what you have done is incredible. Just lead with this. You know why that's a big deal? Is because the people on the other side of you, remember, we talked about this at the very beginning. What's it like to be on the other side of you? What's it like to be on the other side of you? And one of the ways you can diffuse how people listen. If it was me and you, I think honestly, and I think I'm a good dude. I do. I think like I'm a pretty chill guy. I think if we were in a one-on-one conversation, I think you'd be like, "Oh, I'm a little intimidated. I don't know what's going to happen." But how do I diffuse maybe the tension? Is go, "Hey, here's today's conversation is about this." Then it just it gives you a couple nanoseconds just to really get your mind in the right place. Versus hour and a half talking to Aaron, dude. Da, 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 da. Hey, I got to talk. In the last 30 minutes, I drop a bomb on you, and then we end our meeting. What's happening to Aaron right now when he goes home? Bro, he's shutting down. He's in it. Comes home to significant person in his life, and like, hey babe, you good? I don't know what happened. Like hour and a half, things were great, and then all of a sudden, like, I just got critiqued. All I'm saying, have we done invitation challenge, Matt, in this space? Are you invitation challenge? You remember the matrix? Invest. When you invite, invest. Another word we use in that, or you critique. So when we talk about support challenge, I think that's the matrix we did. Support challenge. So when we talk about relationships, the more investment you got, then we can have hard conversations. If you don't have relationship with people and you're in a supervisory role, you got to be real careful because you don't have relational chips. You don't have equity. You have positional authority. You have positional authority. You have spiritual authority. You may have physical authority. You might be bigger, stronger, whatever it may be. All of those things, you know what those things are? Intimidating. So how do you diffuse? How do you diffuse so you can communicate? Because the goal, and let me go back to Aaron, the goal is not to crush Aaron. If there is something that's off, the goal is to be a leader that comes alongside of Aaron and helps him get better. But if Aaron can't hear because every time I talk to him, he feels like it's just like, man, I just can't, it's not good enough. Nothing's ever good enough. Then he doesn't listen at the level I need him to listen because he's so intimidated. Communication code is just one of many tools, and we use it here at CBC. This is a part of our team structure. This is a part of my marriage, all right? Anybody, what did you hear? Okay, come on, what did you hear? Anybody, was this helpful? Okay, helpful? Awesome. Well, pray out. They told me just to pray out. Okay, thank you. Lord, thank you for this amazing moment to be able to walk through a tool that's been so significant just in our marriage. And I thank you, Father, for your love and grace and mercy. And Lord, this time just flew by, this session. God, I pray, God, that you would bless every person, Lord, with a deeper understanding. Lord, nobody, oh God, thank you for this word you just gave me. Lord, Jesus is the Word. You so loved us, you sent the Word because communication matters to God. That you put Jesus on this earth as the Word, human form, flesh, to communicate your heart. God, help us to be incarnational. Help us to be hands and feet and mouthpieces for God that's leading us and guiding us. In Jesus' name, amen. Love y'all. Have a great day. Pastor Matt, come on. Is that it? We're done. You're dismissed, y'all. Have a great one. You're doing great. Stay about it.